Well, you get the mood lighting today because if I turn this off, it's probably really dark. Yeah, you can barely see me. So this is what you get. You get mood lighting. So I asked a question of a few people here, and they were like, "Well, what do you want me to talk about? What's a good topic?" And one that came up was my childhood. How it led up to this stage with my dive down into the furry fandom. Well, my childhood wasn't easy. I was not it was not a fun time growing up. I was the one kid that was different. I was the kid that was the outcast in all stages of school. I was the kid that would play by himself. I was the kid that would do whatever possible to help the teachers. Yes, I was that teacher's pet, sort of in that sense, but I wasn't the teacher's pet at the same time because I was a very different kid. I remember my English teacher for, what was it, grade 7, 8, 9? We used to play chess. Like, I would play chess with the teacher instead of going outside and playing games with other kids. I'd be the kid that would go to the playground and literally be there all alone and no one else around. But at the same time, I didn't grow up in the best area. I grew up I can let you know because this is of the past. I went to a school named Parkdale. And that school was in the middle of the downtown of Edmonton, close to the downtown core. It was between what is known as Commonwealth Stadium and at the time the Coliseum where the Oilers actually started playing. That's the dynasty where they came from, like Gretzky and all that. That's where they played, was the Coliseum. And for the Commonwealth Stadium, that's where at the time known as the Edmonton Eskimos. They've changed the name. Now it's changed hands. We'll see what's going on with that. Now, football, hockey, and so those were two big sports arenas. I was also in the kind of close to the downtown core, so it wasn't the greatest area to grow up. Sure, it was a house that was off the main street, but I lived a block away from my school, but going just in the area, there was a lot of kids, a lot of the tougher kids that thought they were hot shit, and that's where I grew up. And it was always when you became like 10, 11, 12, and you kind of get a little bit more independence going to the store. I would go to the store with my grandmother all the time. I grew up with my grandmother too. This is part of it. And it was a lot of a different scenario in that sense. You'd go to the corner store at those times. You'd be able to buy smokes as a kid if you had the note from your parents or your grandmother, and they'd let you do things like that. So I did things like that all the time. But that also led down a path where a lot of the kids were not nice. I was massively bullied as a kid. I was not the kid, I in a lot of ways, I would just like to sit there and play games. I didn't have anyone to really play with because I was the other kid. I was the kid that was out there doing other things, just being myself, playing games, doing whatever. I wasn't the kid that got invited to play tag. I wasn't the kid that was invited to many things. There was a couple kids that I used to play video games with, but I didn't go over there very long and very often. And that was the way things went. As I grew up, I kind of became friends with other people, but then they never had my back. The kids that I hung around with, they never had my back. The bullies would show up, the whole group of the bullies would show up, and I'd be the one get singled out. And then the ones that I was hanging out with, they wouldn't stand up and do anything for me. So they weren't even friends at that point. And that's where I am today. And that's kind of, I think, what's led me down this stage where growing up, I wasn't the kid that had many friends. And now I'm in a circle, a community, a group of people that I can sit there and I would do literally anything for them if something were to happen. It's a completely 180. It's so different in that sense. It just has a different sense of belonging and a different sense of well-being. Through my life, obviously, I did find somebody. We got married. We have a kid, and it's been great in that sense. But we're both kind of on the sideline right now because we do miss our friends. We've had two friends pass away in the last couple of years, and like the rest of our friends, life just gets in the way right now, and we just don't get the chance to hang out. We used to have people over all the time. We used to play board games. We used to have a lot of fun. Halloween used to be our number one thing, and we would host a Halloween party, but now, that's not even something that's in the cards anymore because we have a kid, and all our time is dedicated with the kid and just trying to live now. I go to work on a regular, hence the car vlogs, and that's the way things go. But where this is where it kind of takes a turn, where I went to the convention, the Furry, and it was a completely different place. And when I was talking with people outside of just being able to live stream, being able to make videos, and I was just talking to people, I really realized that I could connect with a lot of the people that were there, because a lot of the fandom and a lot of the people that are around are just looking for people to hang out with, for people to just have fun with and just enjoy life again. And that's part of it. And those that are like younger, 19, 20, 21, I commend you for stepping into a world that's outside of the norm. And it's a completely different category when you're able to step into that probably many years ago. Stepping into this now, it's been a long time coming, I think. And that's part of everything here. I've got friends that are online. I've got friends in the commentary community. I've spoken to a lot, but it's not the same where you sit there and you play video games. On the channel, we've had nights where I sit there and I've played video games with some very good friends, but unfortunately life once again gets in the way. And now I'm at the point where I'm trying to do that again. And the new friends that I'm making, I'm hoping maybe we can start playing games, because that's the passions that they have as well as myself. I've always had a passion of video games. I've always had a passion of just expressing of who I am and not giving two cares of the world if they like me or not. You can't please everybody. And that's the one point that I've always made throughout the whole channel, throughout the history of me making videos, is I know I'm going to piss people off. I know people are not going to like me, and they're going to sit there and go, well, you've got everything. And I got to tell you, I have had nothing. I've come from nothing, and I've built up from nothing. And this is where I am now. And when there's been times, the things that keep me going, looking back, going, okay, well, the ashes of the phoenix have been burnt down. And that's where you once were. That's the whole idea of it. You once were there with absolutely nothing, just ashes, fire, brimstone, nothing left. And then you move forward in life and you you picked up the ashes and built something more from it. And that's why this means so much more than just walking into a fandom. Why I understand where a lot of people are really coming from. And I understand it's just a different way of life and a different sense of well-being. And having a community that is very strong, I have to say the furry community is extremely strong. And they're able to sit there and say, listen, what you're doing is worth it. And what you've done is worth it. And it's time to stand up and do something more with that essence. There's a lot of people that just are discovering the fandom. And those things really resonate forward. And right now, I am excited for what the future holds right now. In doing videos before, like we did the rant video there yesterday with Magic the Gathering, that was not something I wanted to do, because it was just something where someone said, you know what, you should probably talk on this just because you're more knowledgeable on it. And I was like, okay, yeah, I know, you're right. I'm more knowledgeable on what's going on here in the Magic the Gathering scene and with the bannings that happened. And it was stuff that I called out 4 years ago. Like, that's part of it. You can only talk into the void for so long, and it's great that there is almost 3,000 of you that do watch and do sit there and have subscribed to the channel and listen to the many, many different things I've spoken about on this channel. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, now I have a goal, a drive forward, and I have something that I can be very passionate about. So, coming from nothing, coming from the point where I was completely bullied, I was beat up all the time. It's a completely different 180, and I'm able to stand on my own 2 feet at this point. And now mingling within a community that just sits there and says, you're worth it. And that's part of it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow. I'm signing off here. Have yourselves a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe.